Hello everyone, this is Helios Raven. I tell you how I do it, even if you don't care. And we're going to continue with our in-depth look into the forces of chaos, and we're going to keep on moving. We just did the Blackstone Fortress and the battleships, and so now we're moving on to Grand Cruisers, and the Chaos Forces only have one Grand Cruiser, the Repulsive class Grand Cruiser. Now this one is pretty decent in close range combat. The one thing that's a little iffy on it is it's got a lot of stats that are close to the regular cruisers, except that it's a little bit slower and it has 2 extra hit points, giving it 10 hit points. But other than that, it's really like not that great in terms of stat wise. But when it comes to armaments, this thing is really, really powerful. Like I said, you could definitely use this in replacement of a battleship since it is a little bit cheaper than some of the Chaos battleships. And like I said, you would probably use this as one of your main close combat hitting ships, because it's got on its left and its right side 45 range weapon batteries with power 14. So far, that's one of the most powerful weapon battery systems we've seen in this description. And like I said, when this thing gets really close, it packs a punch. It still does pretty decent at its maximum range, but still, this thing will really exceed at bringing down ships when you get them really close. It does have a lance battery on dorsal lance battery with 30 centimeters with 3 shots that fire in its left, front, or right arc, and it's got POW torpedoes with 30 centimeter range that it covers in each turn, with a strength of 6 in its front arc. So it's got nice long range combat, but this thing really starts shining through, doing its best when it's in close quarters combat, when those weapon batteries can just start nailing into the side of any enemy vessel they get in contact with. So definitely, if you want a really nice close combating army with a mark of Korn or Nurgle, definitely this ship is definitely one you'd probably want to consider using. The Bringer of Despair has a special thing where for 10 points, you can make its dorsal lances have 75 range, so all of its range weaponry can fire at 45 centimeters, which is not too bad at all. And I think that's a pretty worthy upgrade, especially since it's only 10 points. And that is basically the only Grand Cruiser that the Forces of Chaos have, so we'll move on to their regular cruisers, which is the Chaos Stax class heavy cruiser. I could be pronouncing that wrong. It's spelled S-T-Y-X. I'm just going to say Styx from now. I know I'm probably saying this wrong, and I apologize. It's just, how I am. But now, with it, since it is a heavy class cruiser, we lose the 2 hit points from the Grand Cruiser, giving it 8, but we gain a 25 centimeter speed, 45 degree turns, 2 shields, armament 5, 3 turrets. This is kind of why I think maybe you might want to forego the Grand Cruiser, because it has practically the same stats and they're a little bit cheaper, so you might want to consider this one over that. But this ship right here is a really nice supplement to a battleship, because it's got three launch bays on its port and starboard side, which have the fighters, bombers, and assault boats. So right there, bam, it can do a lot of heavy damage with ordnance work. So you could go toe-to-toe with some of the ordnance-heavy armies like the Tau. It's got a dorsal lance with firepower of 2 with a range of 60 centimeters, which fires in its front, left, and right arc, and a weapon battery on its POW with 60 centimeters with a strength of 6 that fires in its left, front, and right arc. Now, again, this one is probably going to be good as like a I would probably think as a Guardian class cruiser to a battleship. If you have like a Grand Cruiser or a battleship in here, I'd probably pick this as its wingmans to launch out ordnance to defend, bombers to deal with some of the heavier stuff, fighters to protect it if there's torpedoes coming, and assault boats to just really do some hit and runs on some annoying vessels before they get into close combat. And then at that point, you just pelt away its side with its weapon batteries, which it has quite a bit of, so it could do a pretty decent amount of damage by itself in that front. So, like I'd say, I'd probably consider this one of your bodyguard ship for your battleship or flagship in your army. And now our next battleship that we're going to talk about is the Hades class heavy cruiser. Now, the Hades class cruiser loses 1 turret in its defenses, so it's not that great again when defending itself against turrets, but it makes up with a lot of firepower, and it's especially in the weapon battery division, making it a great close combat ship, which you're probably going to notice is the theme with a lot of the Chaos Forces, that they're really good with close combat types of ships. But again, some of them have some decent long-range capabilities, so between them, there's probably some that I would maybe could play the part of a long-range ship over there. But this one's definitely a close combat-based ship, having strength 10 weapon batteries with range 45 centimeters on its left and its right arc. And like I said, in case people are wondering why I consider that a distinction for close combat, is weapon batteries get stronger when you're closer to the vessel you're firing at, and get weaker when you fire away. So in my eye, I try to use those types of weapons at a closer range than I do than anything, especially since lances don't have any effect either from far away or long or distance. I tend to consider those with a lot of those types of weapons to be longer range ships. And so this one I definitely consider a close range ship. It does have lances for long range combat at 60 centimeters, but it's only 2 but it's only 2 strength on either one. One can fire left, front, right. One can fire in the front. So at firing front, it's 4. So it's pretty good at that point. But again, I'd probably want to try to get this ship right up the middle and into the fray, right at the heart of the battle, and start using those weapon batteries to their fullest potential before anything would happen to it. And okay, the next ship is the Archon. The Archon heavy class cruiser, which goes back to 3 turrets, so it's a good defensive ship in that sense. It can defend itself against turrets. It's got 2 lances on its left and its right, each with a power of 2, 60 centimeter range, and a dorsal lance of 2, which can fire in its left, front, or right arc, and a weapon battery system at 45 centimeters with a strength of 6. This one I'd probably use more for long-range combat, something I would keep near the back end, firing its lances, and then going forward when the enemy gets too close. The reason for this is since it doesn't have as many weapon batteries as some of the other cruisers we've looked at, I'd probably want to use this guy to start, since it has more lance shots in it, to really fire those off at longer distance to soften up the ships in front, soften up enemy ships for the ships with more weapon battery attacks to get in and really pelt away the side of them when they broadside. So that's probably where I think this ship would fit best in, is a long range ship that you'd probably stick with your battleship or even behind the battleship and just pelt away. And it's also good since it has a lot of lance shots, makes it really great for taking out ordnance weapons like torpedoes, which if you get one hit on a servo of torpedoes, you blow them up completely. Or raking down like bombers if you're in like desperate situation like these guys got a lot of lances to take out those ships. Granted, they need 6s to hit ordnance weapons. It's a little bit you get more dice than if you try to fire with your weapon batteries at ordnance. And yeah, so that's basically it for this video. We're going to have to continue looking at the rest of the cruisers in another one. So until next time, this is Helios Raven, signing off.